Okay, and this is the last part. Now, in part three, you heard what they do to children, the horrible things that these children put in this program have to go through as they try to vilify you as a target neutral. For me, for example, one thing they try to act like is just avengers that they're avenging for what you did as a child. For me, at least, as me as a child, what I did as a child, I did this impulsive act that they have to exaggerate. They have to exaggerate what I did as a child because, unfortunately for them, it was inappropriate, but it was not to the extent where they wish it was. Because these people wanted the worst to be imagined, the worst to be experienced, the worst to be done, for them to make themselves feel like they're badass and avengers. When in reality, this impulsive act of a child is something I did to myself when I was a child in middle school. 13, 14 years old. And today, when they make me have this nasty manipulation, they're like, oh, we're mapping your brain to you as a kid. Remember what you did. And then you hear clearly that these entities running this program are top tier child porn traffickers in the United States in regard of network. In regard of the DoD network being ranked high for circulating child porn within the DoD internet network is so disgusting. To the point where in 2019 they created a bill to try to limit the amount of child porn that was coming in that network. And then for what they do to children, to sexual torture and using 21st century weapon system on children and harm them in ways that's so nasty. You heard a child being suffocated, sexually tortured, and all kind of nastiness. A woman saying she got 4 pages of what they do to her and her child. Nasty. And try to vilify you. You know, for me, I just saw a story of it. Oh, I saw this guy. This guy, when he was a kid, things happened to him. His father did some things. His nannies did something. There's something like that. And they try to make me imagine. So nasty. They were trying to try to like make me identify with what happened to him in regard of like what they did to. It's so nasty. And it's the life that these people. It's the life these people live. They live off a false reality. But it's part of this cognitive warfare. It's supposed to break you down. You're supposed to be accepting of this manipulation, and you're supposed to accept this facade. This nasty low life do horrible things to not only children and men, but also women. A lot of horrible things. And in this video is going to be specific to that. But before I start, why would they do these things? Why is the purpose of that? Why are they doing this evilness? Why do they harm women this way or children this way? Well, it's simple.
Electronic weapons. I also often see highly
You might guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean,
Alter the mind, personality, implantation, and they can do anything. For example, they try to make this man's story of him being what things done to him as a child when by his nannies and his father and something like that. And they're trying to like, well, how old was the nanny? Was she like at 13, 14? To try to make me imagine that this is what I did when I was a kid. It's nasty. because they try to create this false persona and make themselves look like they're protectors of children, when the truth is they torture children. And when they talk about me as a kid in 8th grade, a child, 13, 14. And the impulsiveness of a child that age. A boy who can just impulsively do something like that and never do it again. Now, I'm talking to people who actually torture children. And they have the audacity to try to act like these adventures. You know, suffocating a 7-year-old autistic child is what they're involved in. That's reality. And they're altering the brain to the point where they're like, now we're mapping your brain to you as a kid. Can you imagine you're an adult man and you see a kid who's like maybe an 8th grader or something like that. And it's like, hey, we're making your brain be at the same brain that you had like when you're at that age, your child's age. You know, they were making and try to make you accept of this. I remember when they were bringing up, you know, sometimes they try to create these battles. It's like, you know, the movie where there's this woman who becomes a child, or the child morphs into a woman, and she's like 13 going 30 or something like that's they want you to be like that's what's happening. But what they do to women and children is horrible. And you just heard what they do to children a little bit, it's quick sample, but now listen to what they do to women.
Okay, so
they create a facade to try to block out and distort reality. And the reality is what you're going to hear soon with the testimonials of women being tortured in so many horrible ways.
So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality, and information curve. You know, satanic ritual. Okay, so they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satans. So they'll say we're the V2K. So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satans, you know, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis, that people would believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
When you talk to the victims, the TIs, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape in forced orgasm.
you can say anything you want. It's the internet.
And so simulated orgasms and rape is
Right.
extremely common, and
Right.
especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most.
So they use rape as a tool to break people down. You know, these people are telling me how they're gonna avenge for what I've done, and I deserve to go to jail and all that. And I'm like, see, you deserve to work for a program where they torture women and rape them. You deserve to be involved in a program where children are being sexually tortured. You deserve it to be in a program where the entities running this program have been consistently having issues with child porn. You deserve to be involved in a program where you sell your child to frame people, while involved in a program that does these horrible things to men, women, and children, and created this deluded reality. They're still in my brain trying to make me accept of this personality where the story of this man is not being implanted in my life. Try to talk about the nanny that did something to him, and making me try to have a battle with the nanny was a 13, 14. That's disgusting. Yeah, and most likely it's just like probably some high school kids, some 16-year-olds, some whatever age, maybe an adult. It is disgusting. But the reality is they don't live within reality. Obviously, they just want to still maintain the facade try to make it look like it's anything but this massive government that clearly have done some horrible things and doing some horrible things to men, women, and children, which they're part of. The same entities with the issue with child porn. Now listen to what they do to women.
You feel that you've been injustice. You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations. Not one, but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock of my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of
The
these.
source of these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2970 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. Listening. Hello, my name is Kimberly Buckner, and I have been a targeted individual for a very long time. The things I have experienced due to being targeted, they have been unreal. But however, I can personally attest that this is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I'm very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you. Alex?
Military medical research. I too believe numerous electrical washer and dryer
Of daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also experience what is referred to as mellow anything electronic. They have even locked me out of my office building that uses an electronic key. It is often very difficult and an immense battle just to even sit on the toilet to go to the bathroom. Not only because of the bowel and bladder manipulation, but also because of the frequent severe sexual assaults on the genitals, my butt and anus, shaking, vibrating, and rocking my body back and forth, and forced eyeball movements, and phantom touch sensations doing rubbing sensations, etc.
But I was going to be shot in the face, and it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, he was shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. I'll be shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is, with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, bro.
I want that to be clear. For me, there's a lot of feminism facade looking to make it look like, oh, because we're women, this is different.
Really? You're not a woman. What real woman would soften the female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think there's nothing wrong with them?
So, yesterday I went to the beach and drank a couple of beers and just sat down there after laying in bed and sobbing for 2 hours.
As I'm saying that, as you listen to this, there's a perp right now trying to interact with me, and what she's doing is she's making herself sound as innocent as she can to try to disorient the reality of what this program is about. They try to block out and deflect, because this horrible things they're involved in is also applied to children, as they're creating these mental battles that is just based on other personalities.
Private parts of my body were being burned and my breasts are moved. And it's the trauma from it. It's not being able to cope with the pain and the emotional stress. I let it stop there. I'll just pain. I just woke up after a pretty rough night. The same thing happened last night as the night before, which was whenever I was trying to go to sleep, the private parts of my body began being burned again, and it felt like someone pushing out stream. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. Don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine, because what actually happens to me, a lot of strange things. I've been doing some research, I guess what it's called, organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. Don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine, because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. So it causes me to go into shock. And
So you clearly hear what these people do to women. Foul low life, and they do the same thing to children, or at least a version of that, with sexual torture of some sort, while creating reality and narrative, utilizing other people's stories, try to implant those stories in my head, try to exaggerate what I did as a child. Matter of fact, let me just give you an idea. If you want to imagine, like, age-wise, what we're talking about, just to understand that we'll talk about when I'm saying children. Let me see if I can. We'll talk about this age. This, as that age, I did this impulsive act. And this trash out here using direct energy targeting the genitals of children, and want me to look at them as these protectors of children. And like, now you pay, as they involve in the program that you clearly hear what they do to women and children. Trash ass. Suffocating them, torturing them sexually, blinding them, making them sick, and then act like this is Avengers. These trash deserve what they're talking about when they do whipping and whatever. I'm like, yeah, what do you deserve? So my target individual, stay strong. I want to finish up this video by clearly saying these people should never try to vilify you. I will never let them live their fantasies. With women, they talk about, oh, for Britney, for Courtney, we're doing it. It's like, you are involved in a program that's out here doing this mean, horrible, evil things to women. And you want me to let you go into this fantasized reality where you involved in a program that clearly torture a lot of women in very horrible ways. Where women are literally calling out, there's a lot of females involved in this program doing that to us. There's a lot of women being tortured in this program. Most of us are defenseless women. There's a lot of defenseless women. Obviously, men and women and children are all in need for the purpose of developing this weapon system. I want to finish up with the testimonial of this woman, Rachel, because she, this is somebody who would have inspired me, especially early on, with her testimonial and what she was going through, because
with electromagnetic. Every time you get knocked down, they want you to cry a lot. We need more people to speak out about it. I watched many YouTube videos. I met some really wonderful people that's in this. And I want to say that the support from everybody that's going through this has been just amazing. This has not been easy. I found that I cry a lot. At 35 years old, you do not come down with a mental illness. That's what they want you to think. They want to isolate you. They want you to think that you're mentally ill. They want you to be destitute. They want to target you. This is a psychological warfare, and we need to speak out about it. Every time you get knocked down, get back up. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to commit suicide. That's not what I'm going to do. I want to be a voice to other people that is going through this, or is newly going through it and don't understand it, just like I did when I was going through it in the beginning. I had no idea what it was. The mind games, the getting hit with electromagnetic currents, and the hatefulness, and the gang stalking. These are people that I'm convinced that are not Christians. I don't understand it, probably never will. It's the most hateful, heinous crime that's being ignored. I think that there needs to be light shed on it. There are some protests coming up in October. I would like to see everybody that's a targeted individual to show, because we have a voice and it needs to be heard. There's a lot of scare tactics that's going to keep you from going. I've been told if I speak out, they will kill my son, or they will kill me. That's from the enemy, that's from evil, and they're not going to stop me. So, I want to get up and do something about it, be a voice, and not have another person drive to suicide over this whole thing.
These low life are trash and bottom feeders for pedophiles, and the way they manipulate our brain are disturbing, and the way they vilify you involved in what you just heard, what they do to women and children, even bringing up me as a kid and talk about this impulsive act of a child, which I bring that up, and try to create some fantasized reality where you traumatize her. You see the story of this man bringing up other people's story and try to apply that to, while reality is what they do to babies, to women. I mean, some of the horrible torture here, you can hear a child, a baby, an infant, that they hit using this technology. Always stimulation.
Room window. There was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a
3-week-old.
few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured.
I would never let this shit leave the fantasized reality they put together. They're forcing me to get stimulation on this child that survived a mass shooting that was caused by somebody who was a target individual. He lost his mind, killed 18 people. Shot a child's leg. I will never let this trash leave their fantasy. Told my target individuals stay strong and see this shit for what they are. Do not identify with these manipulations and understand that you are a much better human being than they ever be. Whatever they do in life is not worth doing what they do. I would never want to trade places to live their good life doing what they do. Never. And they can do so much. They can travel the world. They can enjoy life. They can live life. And I still wouldn't want to trade places with them, me who's dying, destroyed. I would never want to have that on me, my side. Like, I don't want to have to be connected to any of that we just heard. And then act this way like a clown. Thank you, God. To all my target individual, stay strong.